Okay, so it's time for ab warm up. This is going to set you up correctly for the rest of your workout as you're moving through the rest of your sequences, be it weightlifting or cardio. You want to always go through this type of engagement. So we're going to come from a Pilates perspective, me being a yoga Pilates bar and fitness instructor. So this is contemporary Pilates approach, looking for the 5 basic principles of breath, neck alignment, shoulder alignment, ribcage stability, and pelvic alignment. So I'm going to start laying on my mat. I'm going to start finding my breath, letting my knees bend, letting my hips stay nice and stable. In Pilates, the breath is in through the nose and out through the mouth like a straw. So I'm inhaling here, expanding my ribcage. Exhaling through a straw to notice the knitting in and weaving of my transverse abdominis, which is the muscle that wraps around the center of the body. I call this muscle the sushi muscle because I think about the seaweed wrap on the outside of the maki roll. It's getting a little bit later on in the day now, and so I have all these little no-seams. So when you see me doing this, I'm just trying to get those bugs from sitting on me. Inhaling nice and tall and long and expanded, and exhaling, just noticing that connection. I'm thinking about having an orange or a citrus underneath my chin. My collarbone is nice and wide, and my rib cage is stable, as if I'm 2 children on a seesaw. I want to make sure if I'm dropping my ribs in too much, it will slam my shoulders forward. If I slam my shoulders too much, it'll pop my rib cage. So I want to find that balance. And then lastly, I'm looking for my pelvis. So I'm looking for a nice, simple neutral, which means my hip bones and my pubic bone are level to the ceiling, the sky in this case. If I tuck underneath me, I've now tucked my tailbone underneath me. You can see here from the side my pelvis is rocking up. If I'm extending underneath, you can see here I'm popping. I have a tendency to have a little bit too much of an arch right here through my ribs, so I'm aware of that, and I'm going to try and keep my spinal upper thoracic body stable and just move through my lower pelvis. Very Bob Fosse. And then I'm going to find the place where I feel pretty stable. Some people feel like they need a little imprint, which means if I had a marshmallow, like a mini marshmallow underneath my back, I'd just let the air out of it. I wouldn't necessarily smash it. So here's my marshmallow neutral, here's my imprint, here's my smashing. See the difference? So imprint, neutral, imprint, neutral. It's very slight. Imprint, neutral, smash. Okay, so I'm gonna try and stay in neutral, but you can always have that little imprint, that tiny little pelvic tilt, to give you a little bit more of a low ab connection so that you don't feel like you're putting too much pressure in your low back. A lot of our work with Pilates is simply trying to find core connection against our low back wanting to take over. So we do a lot of things in Pilates that make us stabilize deeper in through the abs. Okay, so we might have a guest star here. French bulldog. From here in my abs, I'm going to go into toe taps. So I'm engaging deeply through my core. I'm finding my neutral. I'm going to bring one leg to tabletop. I'm not going to move my spine. I'm going to use my abs to bring my other leg to tabletop. That in itself is work. Then I'm going to keep my knees bent just as they are, and I'm going to tap one leg down. I don't have to touch the floor. They're just called toe taps. I'm reaching down as low as I can while maintaining stability through my abs, so that at no point am I changing where my spine goes, right? This is super stable. I'm not rocking. I imagine I'm laying on a tightrope and I'm going to engage, and stabilize. Tap. Deep ab connection. I'm going to do about 20 of those, 10 on each side, and I'm just wiggling my hips now to make them feel a little loosened up. From there, we're going to go into ab prep, which you know of as a crunch position, but I don't really want to think crunch, because what happens when we crunch is we tend to collapse. I want to stay neutral through my pelvis, a little bend in my elbows so that I can see my peripheral vision, slide my ribs down and in, draw my low belly in, and slide my ribs towards my hips so that the strength comes from up here. It's not my neck. My neck's super soft. And lengthen back down. And exhaling again, and lengthen down. Trying to really feel this come from here and not my neck, which is soft, soft, soft. I'm going to do about 12 of these. Good, and I'm feeling that warmth through there. So I've toe tapped and I've ab prepped. Now I'm moving on into all fours, holds and hovers. I have my hands directly underneath my shoulders. I want to make sure I'm not hyperextending my elbows as I am right now. I want to make sure that my elbow creases are bending in towards each other so that you can keep a little light bend in the elbows. I'm making sure that my tailbone is sticking straight out in alignment. My ribs are engaged. I'm not tucking. I'm not extending. I'm finding alignment. I'm looking down. I'm going to tuck my toes underneath me. I'm going to engage my abs deeply, and I'm going to kill that mosquito. And I'm going to lift my knees to a little hover. Hold. I don't want to change where my spine is. I'm going to hold there for about 10 to 15, maybe 30 seconds, and then I'm going to hover down. And I feel pretty warmed up. Now I'm ready to get into the rest of my workout.